This is a cool CZ75. Cold War commemorative, limited to 1,000 pieces worldwide. You are looking at number CCCP 775. A T&P gun. And it's been that way a long time. In inventory here in the Nutnfancy project since the beginning of last year. So many rounds fired, I've lost track, no joke. Both on paper and on steel, like in my run and gun drills, like trench warfare. You longtime TMPers probably recognize it. I've shown it on the camera before. Welcome to the Nutnfancy tabletop review on the CZ75B. Yes, that's what I'm going to call it. Before I press ahead, let's clear up two things. One is a nomenclature, and then the markings of the pistol, and then we will go ahead and cover the details and the data that I have to share with you like I always do. Honest, fresh, objective, hopefully entertaining, probably feature length. Yes, I'm going to call it a CZ75B review. But Nutnfancy, that is not technically a B model. You are correct, sir. Why don't we look at a B model in the CZ catalog, and we'll clear it up right now, talking about the nomenclature. There it is, a true B model. Full length slide rails, still a squared trigger guard, same grips, same beaver tail, different hammer, has a ring hammer as opposed to the spur hammer, still has anti-glare striations on the top, firing pin block. That's the B model. This gun, the Cold War commemorative, kind of combines some features. I think of it mostly as a B model. It's got the important stuff. The firing pin block is there, square trigger guard still there, has a spur hammer, not the ring hammer, striations on the top. It does lack the full length slide rails. In some ways, it's harkening back to previous models of CZ75s, perhaps what some refer to as the pre-B. It also had the short rails. It had actually a rounded trigger guard, still a spur hammer, no firing pin block, no anti-glare milling on the top of the slide, and it had different grips. That was the pre-B model. But the important stuff, again, close enough. You just basically have a difference in the rail setup here, and then also the hammer. Other than that, this is a B model, and that's what I'm going to call it. For me, it's more interesting to review and use this gun, the Cold War commemorative. It is special. 1,000 pieces worldwide. Here's the markings. Enamel filled is what I'm trying to say. Red star on the slide. Russian markings on the slide. Very cool. Hammer and sickle on the frame. That's cool. It's black polycoated on the bottom. That's a very durable coating that CZ does. You can see how it's worn here in TMP and all the use. And then, as you've already seen, it has a Russian serial number harkening back to the Cold War era. Now some dudes will say, well, that was never used by the Russians. I don't think CZ ever intended to say that it was used by the Russians. The CZ75 was an Iron Curtain pistol of sorts. Russian satellite states used the CZ75 on a limited basis. No, I'm not the end-all historical expert on that, but it was done. And I think the pistol is issued to commemorate the falling of the Iron Curtain. And that, incidentally, is when the CZ75 actually became available in the Western world. If we go back a bit, with me personally, I can remember there weren't too many auto pistols that were revered by people who knew what they were talking about back in the 80s. I'm talking about armed professionals who bet their lives on semi-auto pistols. This is one of them. The CZ75 and its predecessors. I'm talking the previous versions of the CZ75. Another one might be SIG 226, the Glock 17, the Beretta 92, then it became the M9, and then perhaps the H&K P7, M8, or M13. All of those pistols kind of rose to the same level back then in terms of reliability, accuracy, and bet your life combat worthiness. This is one of them. I had a friend many years ago in the 80s invited me over, was like, dude, you got to see what I got. Came over, and what does he pull out from his gun safe? A Cold War era CZ75. And man, was he excited. I can't lie to you. When he pulled that thing out and I saw it, I was not excited at all. The fit and finish on that Cold War era CC75 was pretty much abysmal. Lots of tooling marks. I think it had wood grips on it. It was smooth, had a good trigger, had the outstanding ergonomics we're going to talk about. The important stuff was there, accuracy, reliability, but the way it looked was brutal. Fortunately, over the decades, CZ has got its act together, and the fit and finish on these pistols is much improved, on par or better than other pistols in their same price category. So what about those markings? Some guys, oh, I can't believe it. I think it's cool. I love it. And in some ways, it harkens back to popular culture. And if guys go, well, that was never used by the Russians. Yeah. My answer to that will be, are you sure?
Nice run, dude.
Dude, you need to go check your pop culture again. How about Red Dawn? The dude, yeah, the Soviet paratrooper on the school grass, man. Wasn't he waving around a CZ75 directing all his troops? Oh, yeah, you forgot about that. How about the Sum of All Fears? 2 Russian agents executing dudes out there in the swamp or wherever the heck they were. That was a CZ75. And yes, it is another movie pistol. It is sexy. It is good looking, well established in video game and movie circles, the CZ75. It's going to be a fun review. Let's jump into philosophy of use. I would say first and foremost, collectible, because it is the Cold War commemorative version. There's only 1,000. I think they're just going to go up and up in value as long as CZ doesn't keep coming out with special editions that perhaps take that value down a little bit. I hear rumors they're going to put more out. I'd be real careful. I wouldn't do too many because then they become unspecial. Get my meaning? So hopefully they won't, but this I think will be very collectible. It is very cool. I love the markings on it. There you go. POU of collectibility. I've always said steel-framed guns like this make outstanding range guns. Recreational guns. They're not the easiest things to carry around all day long. We've established that in many other video reviews here on TMP over the years. This one is no different. It's 35 ounces, dudes. 4.6-inch barrel. It's a chunk of steel to carry around. The upside is when you get it into position and you start shooting with your CZ75B, it all comes together. fast follow-up shots, low bore axis. We'll mention that again. It's a fun gun to shoot. I have as much fun shooting a CZ75 steel version as I do any other pistol in the project.
He went down.
Maybe 1911. I really love shooting a 1911 steel version. It's just so enjoyable, that single action trigger. So maybe that steps out a little bit, but this is very close behind. That's one reason. I'm going to tell you another. I shot this dang thing so much. I should say we shot it, me and the crew members. It's easy to get carried away. It's so fun. Philosophy of use, yeah, range gun. How about competition pistol? Depends on how much you have to spend. You could probably go a lot better. And I didn't really show you the other versions. Again, there's a CZ75B. There's a decocker model, the BD. There's a stainless B. Heck, you can get whatever flavor you want. There's a single action CZ75, 85 combat with adjustable sights. It's fully ambidextrous, both on the safety and the slide release. Your real competition pistols will be kind of like this. You can get a CZ75 Shadow T. Oh, that's a sick pistol. That's what you want. You want adjustable sights. Maybe an extended beaver tail. To me, it seems pretty similar. Of course, that's a B. Full-length slide rails on that one. Some variations, CTS, LSP. The Sport is very sick. We saw that with Angus at SHOT Show 2012. Lusting over all the competition pistols. Yes, they're very expensive. Very expensive. You get what you pay for, though. I mean, they're well made. If you go competition with a B model, I think you can do it. It is a fixed sight model. Shoots point of aim from what you will see in accuracy for sure. And for, let's say, a cost-conscious shooter, it's probably a good option, but I would like to have adjustable sights for one. Home defense. I'm going to go real quick on this. I would say it would not be my first choice. Can you guess why, Mr. TMPer? Or his wife standing outside the doorway listening to me talk again, yabber on. Can she guess why?
In the system now.
That's right. No accessory rail. You get a gold star for the day. Awesome. I like to integrate a light into any home defense pistol that's beside the bed. I wake up at night, I don't want to fumble around for a light. It's integrated, I flip a switch, I can identify the bad guy. I recommend you do the same. This, at first glance, may complicate things. I'm talking about it can be carried in condition 1, cocked and locked. I would have no problem at all this being beside my bed like this. Safety off, round loaded, hammer down. Remember, it has a firing pin block on it. You won't have a problem unless you deliberately pull that trigger, and it is a long, deliberate pull. I would carry it around that way. No problem. How about for concealed carry? No way, dude. No way. 35 ounces, full-length gun? I'll say the same thing about, I don't know, the SIG 226. That's right. It's a big chunk of steel as well. I'm going to leave philosophy of use with that. Talked about the size and weight. It is substantial. It's good when you're shooting it, bad when you're carrying it, like I've always said. That takes us to firepower. How's 16 plus 1 strike you for your CZ75B? That's on par. It's not overly impressive, but then again, with a normal magazine, it's a flush-fitting mag right here. Equal to other guns we've seen. The good news is within the CZ75 family, kind of like the SP01 Phantom, you can slam in the 18-round magazine. It will extend out of the butt, but it's fully functional. We tested it. It's great. There's some Mech-Gar options out there. There's some other aftermarket mags that will extend that way past 18 if that's what you want. The CZ75 has been around for a long time. And because it's been around a long time, there's a lot of different magazines options for it. I would stick with factory or Mech-Gar. From what I know, the competitors will have some other brands that they use and love just as much. 16 plus 1 to 9 mil. If you go for the 40 chambered CZ75B, it's going to be 12 plus 1. Firepower has no issues whatsoever. That takes us to accuracy. And I've been dreading this review because I honestly did too much shooting with this gun. I did. I've got lots of shooting video. That's going to make it epic. I've got lots of targets. I got to go fast. Bear with me. Here we go. You buckled in. I'm going to start by saying this thing is amazingly accurate. Amazingly. This is going back to, I told you I've been shooting it a while, July 2011. 25 yards. Blazer aluminum. 2-round shot here. 3 here. Kind of some horizontal stringing. Remington 9mm. These two. Add. This is 7 yards, basically shooting one hole with a CZ75B. I know it's not technically a B, close enough. There you go, open it up a little bit. This is standing, this is November 2011, Winchester, 115 grain FMJ. I'm going to call that one hole performance at 7 yards. By the way, try this next time you go to the range. Try to do this at 7 yards. You will see how difficult it is. It's extremely tough to do from a standing position. Watch the people shooting at your range. You'll see they won't be doing it either. Normal 7-round group, I see people shooting at the range about like that. No, I'm not making that up. 17 yards, blaze aluminum FMJs. Awesome. That's in September 2011. Wicked. Just so happy with the performance of this gun. Now we're checking out some hollow points. There's a 124 grain Starfire. 12 yards is a distance. September 2011, a year ago. Finally getting to the review. Rough Rider. Those are some reloads I had. 115 grain variety. They shot pretty good, as you can see. Blazer aluminum, jacketed hollow point. Wow, tight group. Starfire once again. Did all kinds of drills with this thing. Practical accuracy was really impressive. I mean, in trench warfare, ran it with Crockett. We shot the crap out of this, ran it with some other crew. PFI dude, and I think Sledgehammer shortly thereafter. Very impressive on steel. Long range, close range, all that worked out good. Then I did indoor drills at your local shooting range. I do the credit card drill once in a while. It's basically 7 yards. You have to get all of your rounds inside the profile of a credit card, which you drew with your Sharpie. This is Tactical Doodle. He'd been out of the gun scene for a while. That's in November, warming up. What did he say, 9 yards? About like that. That's a fun drill. I gotta go fast, I don't bore you guys. This is me with a credit card drill, CZ75, Cold War commemorative. Oh, aced that guy. Oh, just threw one out there. That's my bad trigger, no doubt. Wicked. This one takes home the gold. This is shooting PMC, credit card drill. This is 9 yards, is where we actually punched it out further than 7. Yeah, that's kind of a substantial distance. All in. That's gold medal. Tactical Doodle here, warming up with the CZ75. Told you we had a lot. Too many rounds shot. This is speed drill. This is shooting as fast as we can with a CZ. Just rocking and rolling, man. Pop, pop, pop. Usually off a whistle. That was fun. Good job, Tactical Doodle. This is PMC Gold, is what Doodle wrote. Speed drills. This is me. As fast as I can shoot in the head. Probably around 7, maybe closer, 5 yards is usually where I'll bring my speed drills in. Shredding it. One more Tactical Doodle. There you go. Supremely accurate.
Shredded it.
Probably the most accurate 9mm I've shot in a while. That's right, I said it. You saw the one-hole groups. Accuracy, just outstanding. That takes us to another outstanding attribute of the CZ75 Cold War, ergonomics. It's always been said the CZ75 grip is pretty much the definition of awesome. I concur with that wholeheartedly. You don't need any grip inserts when it's done right. The amazing thing about the CZ75 grip, whether you're talking the B model or any other one that uses it, is it's so adaptive to different sizes of hands. I think the only ones that will really complain about this grip are people who have really small hands, and it's not really about the grip, it's about the trigger reach when it's in double action mode. Because when it's fully forward, if you have smaller hands, that might be a bit of a reach. Once it's cocked and going under single action transition, no problems. The grip itself is excellent in its shape. The hump, it feels good, it's balanced. The angle of pointing the CZ75 is very intuitive. I love it. There's no checkering on this version on the front strap or the back strap. It's rather basic. I don't mind it. I don't mind the checkered plastic grips. SIGs are better when you talk about traction. By the way, this is my West German SIG from way back. I just threw those grips on there to save the other ones. These stippled ones provide more traction than these, in my estimation. The good news is, when we jump ahead to accessories, if you don't like these grips, there's all kinds of alternatives. Hogue would be one of them, where they cover the back strap, I think, providing superior traction at the expense of, I don't know, some rubber grippiness. Great grip. Trigger guard is also great when you talk about the B model. It's rounded underneath, it's high cut for a high purchase, and you can take advantage of that low bore axis. We'll mention that in a second.
3 points here.
Has a front and checkered, I should say serrated, flattened portion, which I love. So my offhand, I can rest my finger on there, which I do, and I shoot well that way. Works for me. And it's big enough for gloves. You're not going to get caught. Here's another thing it really rocks about the CZ75 trigger guard. As I pull it, I'm not rubbing the bottom of it, as we see in a lot of other pistols. Glock comes to mind. When you pull a Glock trigger, at least for me, I'm rubbing the bottom of the trigger guard, and in essence, doesn't that provide more resistance to the pull? Yes, it does. You don't have that problem here. The trigger itself is made out of steel, not polymer. There's no flex whatsoever. There's no sharp corners. It's rounded. The magazine release, perfect. Just enough protrusion, rounded, no sharp corners. No issues whatsoever.
You squeaked in a third point, bro.
Takes us to the
3
safety.
points.
Again, this is not a
6 points,
decocker.
this one?
Safety's fine. I do wish it was a little bit more positive in its detents. A little bit more. Like I said, if I'm carrying around cocked and locked, my big fear always is this happens, and I don't know it. Now I'm carrying around a gun that's cocked with a very light trigger pull. Could be a problem. Rounded corners on the slide release as well. It's not ambidextrous, this pistol, this Cold War. It's just not. Go with an 85 if you want that. For me, as a dedicated right-hander, I like that. What if you have to shoot with your weak hand, Nutnfancy? Well, I still like the slimness. I don't need extra levers and crap sticking out here. Simple's better in my book. Still talking ergonomics. Nice milling of the slide. The whole ergonomic profile of a CZ75 is both aesthetic and functional. To me, that from here forward reminds me of a Browning high power, and I would not be surprised that when the designers started with a fresh sheet of paper, they probably looked at a 1935 HP when they started. It's like, that's a pretty good design. In fact, it pretty much copies the Browning design in its linkless mechanism. Excellent. On the top, again, we see the striations, which function for anti-glare purposes. That brings us to the sights. I would say good. I gotta tell you, dudes, I'm pretty versatile when it comes to combat sights. I can go 3-dot, I can go bar and dot. I'm not too picky. What I really don't like is too much air in the sights, and this one doesn't have that. It has just enough air. For me, that's kind of going into the recreational philosophy of use as I'm shooting steel. For me, it's just faster. You may differ. These are phosphorescent, so they glow, I think, when you expose them to light. I think. I could turn off, I'm not going to. Cocking serrations on the slide are excellent. They're sharp, but not too sharp. There is a downside to the design of the CZ75 in some terms when we discuss ergonomics, and that is, I mentioned this in the Phantom review, the SP01 Phantom, is you don't have that much cocking serrations to grab onto. You know what I'm saying? Because it's a slide and frame, i.e. reverse slide rail design. If we look at that SIG 226, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. Look how much cocking purchase you have on this gun and on most other designs. XD, XDMs, Smith & Wesson M&Ps, you know, Glocks. The upside of having that really low in-frame slide, though, is a very low bore axis. Something I rave about in other reviews. Quicker follow-up shots, less muzzle flip. Yeah, I'm on board with that, and I'll put up with a smaller cocking serration. Ergonomics. How do you like that spur? The old-time CZ75 spur. I love it. I love it. I like the old school nature of it. You can fan it easy, you can get to it. I don't mind it at all. The only time I'd really mind it is if I was crazy and decided to carry this in a concealed carry roll. I wouldn't do that because then this will dig into you. The rounded ring hammer would be a lot better option than this. But I don't think that's the job of this pistol. This is a service pistol, a holster you're carrying on your side. Ergonomics. Overall, outstanding, except for the weight when you're carrying it. I probably forgot some stuff. Field strip and maintenance. Here we go. I'll field strip this sucker real quick. Magazine comes out. Rack to slide. For when I do this, you guys may differ, you may laugh. I just use this little polymer hammer. It's just the easiest way. There's your lineup marks. So you got to line up to extract the takedown pin, which is also the slide release pin. Just to give it a little taparoo right there. Line up those, pull it out. Not quite as easy as Glock or SIG, I've said that before. Off comes, I gotta lower that hammer first. Off comes the slide. Notice it's not a full length recoil rod and it's polymer. Polymer? I only believe in steel. Whatever. As you saw in accuracy, it doesn't affect anything. Kidney shaped, cut out there in the barrel. Very standard, linkless design. Remember this part. Oh, there's your firing pin block right there that engages with the firing pin lever, which you'll see raised right here. That impinges upon that. That makes sure the firing pin, well, the hammer will not connect to the firing pin until the trigger is pulled. There's your reverse slide rails right there. And boy, do those provide some mating to that slide. Even though this is not a true B model, in other words, the rails do not extend all the way to the dust cover, you can see the accuracy really doesn't bear that out at all. It's not a problem. When you lube your CZs, and CZ guys know this, I just dropped some Slip 2000 on the interior here, interior there. I'll toothbrush it when it's time to. This one needs a cleaning. I didn't do it for the review. I'll take the barrel out. I'll coat this very lightly in some Slip 2000 or some type of lubricant like that. And a little bit over the bore on the exterior and the locking lugs underneath because they're milled into the hood of the slide. Reassembly is in the reverse. Done. That's field strip of the CZ75. Maintenance of the CZ75. Pretty standard. Accessories and versatility. I'm going to say accessories. The accessory market for the CZ75B is outstanding. All kinds of holsters, whatever you want for the gun. Again, it's dating all the way back to the 1980s, this gun is. Different sight options if you want them. You could put adjustable sights on this, no problem. Different grip options, all kinds of trigger gunsmiths out there if you want to do trigger work, which, by the way, I forgot to mention this, I had done on this gun. Terry G, Mr. Yoda himself at Impact Guns, did my trigger job on this, and he did a fabulous job. It breaks at a very reasonable 5-pound single action. I didn't measure the double. It's still pretty stiff. I had estimated around 9 pounds or something. CZ triggers, when they're not worked over, to me, are not awesome.
Connecting like
they're not. This one, as it came out of box, I really did not like it. It wasn't like, oh, that's such a sweet trigger. No. It was a bare bones CZ75, and unless it has some work, I'm not pleased with it. Doesn't mean I can't shoot it accurately, not enjoy it, but for a small price paid to get it worked over, I recommend a trigger job when you talk about accessories. I'll leave it at that. Value on this gun is, again, mind-blowing. When it was available, I think this gun was selling for about $425. That's right. 1,000 limited worldwide and $425, and you're getting a CZ75. One reason the fan club of CZs are so huge and ever growing is because of the value equation. I love the SIG. Love the SIG, you guys know that. The SIG dynasty is well intact here in the Nutnfancy project. but it's an expensive pistol. It always has been. Heck, I could buy 2 CZs for the price of 1 SIG, it seems like. Value's excellent. Now, some dudes that will tune into this video will have a clone of this gun, and some of those are excellent. The Jericho 941, Tanfoglio, is that how you say it? TZ75. They got a 90 and 95. I think those are pretty good guns. I don't have trigger time on them though. Armalite, AR-24, Magnum Research, Baby Eagle, Springfield P9. Those are all copies of this gun. Why not get the original though? That's what I say. Get the original, especially at that price. And if you can't score, you won't be able to. A Cold War commemorative, the B model should be on your radar if you kind of stay realistic on your philosophies of use, how you're going to use the gun. By the way, the B model has the accessory rail dust cover. I think I forgot to mention that. I hope I'm not lying to you dudes. Yeah, I am lying to you. I'm sorry it doesn't. That's hilarious. Oh, you're going to have to go with another model if you want that. Just break into the catalog, you'll see it. But if you don't need the accessory rail, it's not a big deal to you, then yeah, CZ75 all the way. And that takes us to the portion of the video when the plot thickens. Reliability, durability, track record. This gun did have problems in the Nutnfancy project. There, I said it. I won't take it back. It actually had quite a few problems. It really wasn't stovepiping or jamming as I can remember. I'm going to go review all the footage when I start editing this video together. What I remember is that it was failing to go into battery multiple times. With all types of ammo. Doesn't matter. Blazer aluminum, brass cased, hollow point. Just every so often. It wasn't like frequently. It was about 10% of the time. As you'll see in the video, it just didn't close all the way. You have to smack it. There might be a jam in there too, somewhere. It was obnoxious. I believe the CZ75B comes in 9mm with a 14-pound spring standard. I went to Wolf Springs and I threw in an 18-pound spring. Yes, I know, some CZs are notorious for weak springs. Why do they do that, by the way? It's weak, man. Put in the right spring, function fire it so we don't have problems. We don't have to do a project. That's what I'd prefer. It still had problems after that, but they were less frequent. I know. You would think an 18-pound recoil spring, and I think I even went to a 20-pound. And I think I burnished the slide rails a little bit with steel wool. I was like, come on now. Kind of reminiscent of the PO7 duty it was doing with that gun, too. No, I'm not limp wristing it. Hold them tight. I think it was solved when I took it to Terry Gardner. He did the trigger job, and then he also did a little bit of polishing, I think, on the feed ramp there for me. I haven't shot it hundreds and hundreds of rounds since that time, but it has not failed to go into battery since that work was performed. Before I would ever depend on this particular gun to save my life, I would probably have to put 200 more rounds through it. Some of which would be my defensive load before I could call it good. There. So as it stands now, it seems like 100% reliable, but through the testing process dating back to last year, not so much. I know. I think that's a rarity. Most CZ75Bs come in with very stellar reliability records. They do. Honestly, if it fails to go into battery again, I'm just going to ship it off to CZ Custom down in Mesa and have Angus and his boys just do a number on this. I ain't going to fool around with it no more. They'll get it squared away. I can guarantee you that. CZ, by the way, actually has some excellent customer service. I've said that before. Just excellent. Don't worry about durability, though. This is a tank of a gun. Tank of a gun. Steel frames just don't wear out when you're shooting 9mm. Heck, for any 45 or 40 for that matter either. I just don't think you're going to wear this gun out. It's cold hammer forged barrel, by the way. I forgot to mention that. That black polycoat was really tough. One thing I did not do, nor could I bring myself to do, is do a lot of holster presentations with this Cold War commemorative. Talking out of a leather holster, really putting a lot of wear on it. I didn't do that. That's one reason I run horizontal pistol out of a ballistic nylon holster. Less wear and tear. Track record the world over for the CZ75B, outstanding. A beloved pistol. You're going to be hard pressed to get the same reputation that CZ enjoys with this pistol for the money you're going to spend. The pistol I was thinking about with accessory rail, by the way, was the SP01 Tactical. You can go with that one. It's going to be more expensive. Or the SP01 right there. I love this gun. It is so fun to shoot. It is not a go-to-war pistol for me personally. It might be for you. For me, it's a range gun, a recreational gun, in a pinch, a home defense gun, even though it lacks a rail, I know. Here's the things I really, really love about the CZ75B. You may have gathered that already. The ergonomics, outstanding. Once worked over, the trigger is excellent. The accuracy blows my mind. And the enjoyability when shooting it. That's a Nutnfancy Tabletop Review. Thanks for joining me. Great gun.